Hey, everybody, and welcome to In the Relationship Arena, my brand new podcast where we talk about all things relationship. So, my name is Ali Moore, and I am a relationship therapist. Now, most people will assume I spend all my time working with couples, and that is a big portion of what I do. But relationships are everywhere, and I'm really passionate about exploring all different types of relationships. So I work with couples, families, individuals, businesses, teams, and I just think that the dynamic between human beings is an amazing thing. So I'm really excited to launch my podcast where I'm going to be sharing quite a few things. I'm going to be sharing some insights from myself about what goes on in the world of relationships, some hints and tips on how to manage relationships, but also looking at some things that come up in session when I work with clients. What are some of the issues which clients come across that we have to navigate in the relationship therapy space? And I've also got some lovely guests lined up for some of the episodes where we're diving into some topics on a deeper level and they're bringing their personal experience or their expertise into the field. So I hope that you will enjoy the podcasts and that if you have any comments or you want to actually get an idea of what can be shared, or if you have questions or a topic that you'd like us to cover in future episodes, then please do get in touch. And you can do that really easily via my website, www.bmore.uk. But here in episode 1, I wanted to talk about some of the key aspects to consider in all types of relationships. When I'm working with any type of client, it's important to think about why we're in a relationship, what we gain from it, what the giving and taking in that relationship is, and how we feel about that relationship. And I call this the 4 concepts or 4 pillars of a relationship. And it's a bit like getting people to do an audit, because so often we go through life, we kind of take our relationships for granted, we make assumptions, we make expectations, and then stuff happens and we are taken by surprise, we are taken back, and we have a host of emotions that come up that we just didn't expect. So one of the things I really want to help you do in these episodes is give you some useful tools that are going to help you to navigate all of those relationships in your world. So the first thing that we're looking at is this 4 pillars or the concepts of a relationship. And the first one is purpose. Relationships need to have a purpose. They need to fulfill a purpose. And in your life, you will have lots of different relationships and you will have different purposes attached to them. The purpose is why you're in it. The purpose is what it brings to you. The purpose is the point of it, why you dedicate time. If people don't know the purpose of it, if they can't pinpoint it, they can become complacent about it. They can lose track of investing time in it and they can feel deflated. So often when I speak with couples that or more, because that's the modern world we live in, relationship partners, I might ask them what their purpose is, and either they're not sure or they've become something that they didn't expect. So, you'd like to think that the purpose of, for example, your intimate relationship is to feel fulfilled and satisfied, for it to be loving and giving, to bring joy into your world, to share your life and your hope and your dreams. Sometimes the comments I get is, the purpose is I bring the money in. The purpose is I clean the house. The purpose is I raise the kids. We have become less than what we were. We have lost track of what the purpose of the relationship is. And when people don't know what the purpose is, then they don't know why they're in a relationship, then they maybe don't know how to get it back on track. They might not be able to pinpoint what's missing, but this is an important question. There'll be other relationships in your life. What is the purpose in your friendship groups? That's always a nice, safe one to start with. People take on different roles. You might have different friendship groups, different groups of people that, you know, come together or don't come together. And your role in that, are you the listener? Are you the organizer? Are you the agony aunt, the problem solver? You know, so have a think about that. Start with that. What is the purpose of the relationship that you're having? And where does that fit in with others? And do you like that purpose? Was that the purpose that you wanted when the relationship started? Or have you kind of fallen into that role and that purpose? And what purpose do the other people play in your life? What do they bring to you? So there's lots of things to consider when we think about purpose and why we have that in our relationship. It's number one in the relationship pillars. Number two in our relationship pillars is mutuality. This is the giving and taking. Now, we all talk about what we give to relationships, but it is absolutely human nature that we expect to gain as well. And we should value ourselves enough. We shouldn't just give. There should always be something. It might not be tangible. It may be emotional. It may be a feeling that you get, but something that you gain from being in that relationship. And it should be mutual. What you give and get should be of equal measure. You should be, you know, equaling out the scales, so as to speak. You might be giving and getting very different things, but that's okay as long as you feel there is a balance. So again, when people come into the clinic space, a lot of the time they feel the mutuality is gone. They feel it's unbalanced. They don't know what they get. Often people will feel that they give an awful lot. Sometimes people will say, I don't give much actually now. I've withdrawn. Maybe that resonates with you. Maybe you're aware of the fact that you've stopped contributing in some way, perhaps emotionally, perhaps physically, you know, the giving and the getting is not there. And we're going to be talking more about giving and getting in the intimate world of relationships in later episodes. But it's hugely important. This comes down to our wants and our needs. And another thing that often happens with couples and more and groups and partnerships is people don't share what they want or need. And they certainly might not share when they're not getting it because they don't know how to. So we're going to be looking at how to have some of those conversations as well. And therefore they feel frustrated, resentment builds up, and this impacts the giving and the getting because they might feel there's no point anymore, or their partner might think, well, I'm not getting much from you, so I'm not going to be giving in return. We become a tit for tat relationship. And it's easy to get into this space. Life gets busy, and sometimes we don't prioritize the relationships that we need. And if you think this only happens in personal relationships, friendships, you know, you lose track of people. This happens in teams and businesses. I see this. People feel that they give or they and they don't get, or they feel that there's no point contributing because it's not valued, it's not respected. So the big piece around values and wants and needs that we dive into when we're thinking about mutuality and that balance and that set of scales. So that's really, really important to think about. Really overused word nowadays, but it does sum up what I want to say, which is authenticity. I know everyone's talking about being their authentic self. However, in relationships, it is key to be able to feel like you can express yourself as you, to share your hopes and dreams. You don't want to be second guessing, walking on eggshells, wondering if you're saying the right thing. You don't want to be hiding who you are, your hobbies, how you want to spend your time, the way that you are, even down to sort of the flow of your day. And you certainly don't want to feel that the person you're sharing your time with and your life with is hiding anything, that they're having to mask, that you're not really sure. Is that, who are you? Who am I spending my time with? So there's lots of things going on in this authenticity piece. There's the ability to feel able to be yourself. But again, a lot of the time I hear people say, I didn't even know them. This came out. This is where we talk about secrets, disclosure, honesty, trust. I don't even recognize this person. They're not who I thought they were. Their behavior was so different. Or I felt like I couldn't be myself, that I wasn't seen and I wasn't heard. This ability to be raw and vulnerable with each other in an intimate relationship is critical. It's absolutely vital. Um, and again, when you're working outside in a more sort of professional relationship, you want to have trust. You want to know that people can come to you when there's issues. You want there to be sharing and disclosure. You want to know who's in your team and who's got your back, right? So when we are not authentic, this leads to a lot of issues because we don't like secrets. And human beings, when they don't have all the information, they'll start to fill the gap. So if your partner feels that you're not being honest, they're going to fill the gap. Now, they might fill the gap with something so far away from the truth, but they have nothing else to do. We don't like gaps, okay? It's human nature that we do this. So are you being open and honest? And are you allowing your partner to be the same? Do you feel comfortable being vulnerable? You know, the amazing Brené Brown talks about vulnerability in a way that is just vital to human relationships. It's so, so important. The fourth aspect of the pillars kind of combines all the top three when you've really thought about this. It's, do you have 2 feet in? Imagine that you are standing looking at your relationship space. There's you, there's the other people, and there's this invisible kind of boundary that you're working within. This is the relationship space that we call, and everything about relationships is what we bring into there. The question is, are you fully in? Now, you can be having the worst time in a relationship. It can be horrible, but you are fully committed to doing the work. Even if it doesn't work out, even if it doesn't go the way you wanted, you're saying, I did everything I could. I had 2 feet in. I put the work in. You know what? This actually, hard as that is and hurtful as that can be, it can make healing easier. Okay. But what people tend to do, for lots of different reasons, is I see people that don't have 2 feet in. They have 1 foot in. They maybe have a toe in, but they definitely don't have 2 feet in. And maybe they're scared. Maybe there's commitment issues. Maybe there's some attachment stuff. We're going to talk about attachment in later episodes as well. And the self relationship is just huge when we talk about relationships. So there might be reasons why you personally feel that you can't commit. You know, you're scared. You're scared of being hurt. You're scared of being abandoned. You're not sure. Sometimes people had 2 feet in and now they've got 1 foot out. It's got like that. They're kind of thinking, I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen. And when the next thing happens, that's going to be my reason to step out. Or, wow, I'm waiting for the next thing to happen. And what I really hope is the other person will shove my other foot out. Okay. And then it won't be on me. That, you know, when you don't have 2 feet in a relationship, there's a lot going on there that needs to be talked about. But you know if that's the case, you know where you're sitting. Now, I see a lot of couples that come into the clinic space and they're a bit concerned because they feel as though if they're not committed to making the relationship work, then there's no point having relationship support. The whole point for lots of people is you don't know if it's going to work. You've reached a crisis. Something has happened. You've lost each other. You've got disconnected. If you knew the relationship would work out, we wouldn't really need to have sessions. You could talk that through. So that's okay. Don't worry about whether you think it's going to work or not. It's about doing the work when we're in, when we're in session. And that's a big conversation to have with clients. Don't panic about where you are. Just be honest. 2 feet in, 1 foot out, bit of a toe dipped in the water, hoping to make a break. There's a lot going on there that we need to talk about. So purpose, what is the point of this relationship in your life? Why are you there? Mutuality, the giving and the getting, the balancing of the scales, authenticity, being your true self and allowing others to be theirs, and how committed are you? This is where I start with most of my clients when they come into session, gives them something to really think about, this relationship audit. I start here as well when I work with teams. And there's a whole host of conversations that can be had. What leads on from this is we start to look at relationship agreements. And relationship agreements are where you start to lay out your wants, your needs, what you want to gain from this, what's acceptable, what isn't, what crosses a line and what doesn't. I'm going to look at some of those in later episodes. So you can see there's a whole lot going on in the world of relationships, and having some tools to help you navigate those relationships is absolutely crucial. I also want to talk a little bit here about why people come to relationship therapy, not just the different types of people, but I want to talk about the fact that for lots of relationships now, we are looking at whole new ways of living. And in my next episode, I talk to two amazing women who are living in an open relationship, because the traditional model of being, two people, monogamous, committed to each other, we're a lot freer now about our thoughts on relationships. So some people come because they're very committed to each other. There's no crisis, but they want to talk about taking the relationship to a next level. Other people feel that the communication has dipped a bit and they want to get that back on track. Intimacy, sex is a huge part of a relationship. And it's vital that there's communication about that. So we talk a lot about that in session as well. And this is really, this is the thing to think, isn't it? You get really intimate with this person, you share your life with them, but you can't tell them whether you're enjoying your sex life or not, or whether there's something else that you'd like to try. So we're gonna look at that in a later episode as well. People come because they've already decided to separate. When they've decided to separate, then that we want to help them have that, because maybe they've got children, maybe they've got reasons, maybe they just want to be a bit more amicable. We've all heard of the term, I think now, conscious uncoupling. It's not normally like that, but there are reasons why the relationship that they had is ending and we're moving into a new relationship. So here in the relationship arena, that's what we're going to be talking about. So I hope you have enjoyed episode 1. I look forward to being with you in future episodes. I look forward to welcoming some of our amazing guests that we've got. And if you have any questions or topics that you would like us to talk about here, then please do come along, step into the arena with us. Let's have no shame, no guilt. Let's be open. Let's share what we need to share. Let's be vulnerable with each other, and explore the wonderful world of relationships. See you all soon. Take care.